the way that men understand them and the way that we need to understand them are different, because they need to understand them from a practical perspective, and we need to understand them from a, okay, this exists, what do we do about it perspective. So alpha widowhood is one of those. And I guess I'd like to start by just giving you guys the standard, this is in our dictionary, this is in the Red Pill Dictionary definition of the concept. Bear with me, I'm going to read it. So an alpha widow is a woman, typically but not necessarily post-wall, who's been abandoned by an alpha male. No matter how great her new man is, she will perceive him as failing to meet the standards of the alpha she was previously associated with. Due to hypergamy, a woman cannot date backwards. Once she gets, say, a male 8, she cannot date below a male 8 and be happy with him. If she does, she's just using said man for resources, beta bucks, and she doesn't really love him. Essentially, a damaged woman accustomed to a tier of man she can no longer attract. So that sounds terrible.
It's a Sunday afternoon and I'm just home. Drinking wine. Sundays are days when I relax at home to recharge, to recuperate, to recharge my batteries. So in today's video, we're talking about Jada and how she got alpha widowed by Tupac. As a guy, you should never be with somebody who's an alpha widow. If you end up being with somebody who's an alpha widow, it leads to misery. You can tell by how Will Smith's marriage has been. Just now that we've come to know about their problems. But I think their problems have been going on for some time now. And if it's been going on for some time now, you can imagine how miserable Will Smith's marriage has been. Just check it out.
You ever jealous of the love Jada had for Tupac?
Oh my God, that dude! I couldn't handle it. You know, we were in a room together a couple times. I couldn't speak to him.
Jada's my heart. You know what I mean? She would be my friend for my whole life.
It was beyond friendship for us, you know.
And I was deeply, deeply insecure, and just I wasn't man enough to handle that relationship. I was the soft rapper from Philly, and he was pop.
It would have gone bad, and we both instinctually
knew that. And there was a period where mommy woke up and cried 45 days straight. I think that's the worst I've ever felt in our marriage.
As soon as he approached me, he was like a magnet. It was like once you paid attention to him, he kind of sucked you in.
Pac was probably one of the first male figures that I had in my life that saw the beauty and the talent and my intelligence separated from sex. That's something that a young girl usually gets from their father. I didn't have that.
He would tell me all the time, Jada, you're gonna be a star. You know what I mean? I'm like, Pac, come on. He's like, you're gonna be a star. You got it. You just got it.
I was the soft rapper from Philly, and he was pop.
I was in the car and I had Jada's number. I called Jada. I said, hey, Jada, what's up? It's Will. I said, are you seeing anybody? She said, no. I said, cool, you're seeing me now.
As I was coming out of the life, he was going more into the life. There was a point in which we met, and then we kind of were going our separate ways.
He would be my friend for my whole life. She could have my one heart, my liver, my lungs, all of that.
But she just loved him like he was the image of perfection. But she was with the Fresh Prince. We were in a room together a couple times. I couldn't speak to him. He wasn't going to speak to me if I wasn't going to speak to him. She was like, I'm telling you, y'all are so similar. You will.
That doesn't prove what being with somebody who's an alpha widow leads to. Then I don't know what would. This is why that doesn't look like a guy who's in a happy marriage. And that doesn't look like a woman who is in a happy marriage. So the question which you have to ask, or which I don't even know if we have rights to ask or whatever, but we should be concerned since these people are in the public light. So the question is, if both of them are not happy, why are they still together? But I understand toxic relationships usually are addictive. In this case, Jada is somebody who's toxic. Just check out people who are in abusive relationships. Most people who are in abusive relationships never leave those relationships. It's because of the addictiveness those relationships. That's why Will is still with Jada. Like, come on, it's Will Smith we're talking about here. The guy would get any woman in this world, but he is sticking around with somebody who's toxic, old, and he's an alpha widow. But there he is, crying, trying everything he can to prove his love or whatever, trying to win her over. That's how toxic relationships are. In this case, it's a toxic marriage. Yeah, let's continue watching the video here.
Speak to him. He wasn't going to speak to me if I wasn't going to speak to him. She was like, I'm telling you, y'all are so similar. You love him, and I just never, I couldn't handle it, you know.
My mother knocks on the hotel door. Will opens the door. As soon as I see her face, I knew he was gone.
I feel that he left me. I really did believe that he was going to be here for the long run.
The type of relationship we had, you only get that once in a lifetime.
Deeply, deeply insecure, and just, I wasn't man enough to handle that relationship. I had, all these grand ambitions of what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. And I worked out and I got my body crazy and I did everything I could do to be the biggest movie star in the world.
Externally, our family was winning, right? And there was a period where mommy woke up and cried 45 days straight. I think that's the worst I've ever felt in our marriage. I was failing miserably. But on the outside, I was winning. Like, I remember saying, like, I built this house for you. And she said, you built this house for you. Yeah. And I was like, but it was devastating for me to accept that I built the house for me.
Yep.
What I realized is I was building a picture.
I had spent so many years of my life building up Will Smith, trying to prove something. So then I made the shift.
Watch people, because you can fake for a long time, but one day you're gonna show yourself to be a phony. Yes, for sure. You know what I mean? And that's what these, a lot of people are doing these days. Don't support the phonies, support the real.
I'm into my space now where I'm letting go of that, and I just got to be good with me. And I made a decision in that, and on my birthday, that I was gonna be free. I was gonna do all this stuff I wanted to do.
As much as we wish our partners never hurt us, as much as we wish that they came into relationships with no flaws, relationships really are about self-discovery, believe it or not.
I would go, Will, throw away everything that's happening in the outside world. Your career, everything. And it's just me and you on an island.
Damn.
What do we have?
I was unaware of what it meant to truly connect with somebody. I've never met anybody like you, and I knew if I wasn't with you, I'd be searching in vain for the rest of my life. The greatest motivator and asset for me with you is your...
Yeah, I know the video we're reacting to is something which is trying to make us to sympathize with Will, and of which, yeah, I feel for the guy. Let's hope he opens his eyes and puts this thing behind him, because the longer this goes on, the longer you continue to be miserable. The best thing for him to do is to leave the toxic lady. All their children are all grown up now, so there's nothing like we're doing this for the kids. If this isn't the right time for him to leave that lady, then I don't know when that will be. Because this guy will always be miserable. How would you want to be miserable forever? Cut your losses. Since he likes crying, he can cry about it, but after some time you even get to realize that actually that incident was, you get to realize that that ordeal which made him to divorce his wife actually was a blessing in disguise. After some time we would get to see a new Will Smith, a happy Will Smith. This is a guy I used to look up to when I was young, because I remember when I was young I used to have gray hair, like I would have one gray hair, yeah, and when I checked out Will Smith's picture sometime back when I was young, he had a head full of gray hair. And then as a youngster I was like, this is me when I grow up. Like I'll be looking this good even with gray hair in my head. And watching all the movies where I used to be Apha was a plus, a bonus. So now let me just say it hurts me to see a guy I used to look up to going through what he's been going through for some time now. Yeah, I know the video in question was meant for us to sympathize with these guys, but come on. Let me end it here. Or before I end it, you know what to do. Hit like, subscribe if you can. We want this channel to grow, don't we? Red pill in Africa. All the red pill stuff we check out is so about the Western world, but we also need to introduce the red pill in Africa, because in Africa we are heavily influenced by the Western culture. That's why I shake my head when I see videos about these red pill guys, or just people in the West saying that they want to marry from a third world country or a third world continent like Africa. In my head I'll be like, dudes, oh come on. Everybody here in Africa looks up to what happens in the West, and they are heavily influenced by that. Feminism is heavy here. Western culture has heavily penetrated Africa. Let me just say my country, Zambia, or the southern region, South Africa, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and all these other southern African countries are heavily influenced by the Western culture. So Africa, in the next 10 years or so, will be as affected as the people in the West when it comes to feminism and people losing their values, because they're heavily influenced by what they see in movies, in music, etc. So that's why we need to grow the red pill community in Africa. Yeah, so this is where I'm gonna end my video. As usual, I'm gonna end it by saying, get up, dust up, go win.